In this week's parsha, in Parshas Kitzetzei, in Pasuk Ches Perek Chav Beis, the Pasuk says, Ki sivna bayis chodosh, if you will build a new house, vasisa Michael gagecha, and you will make a fence around it so no one should fall. And then the next pasuk says, Lo sizur charmecha klayim, you shouldn't plant your field klayim, that you shouldn't mix grapes with wheat, and then you should not be choresh, a shor and a chamor. You can't plow two animals together in one harness. You shouldn't wear shatnez with your clothing. And you see over here, Rashi says in the pasuk, Im kayamta mitzvah shaluach hakam, which was the previous mitzvah before building a house, then you'll come to buy a house, and then you will also have to put on a mic, which is the next mitzvah, and then you'll have a field that you will have to plow, that you're growing grapes in, and you shouldn't combine grapes and wheat, and then you will have a nice begodim, and so forth, so on and so forth. So what do you see? Rashi says that because you did the mitzvah shluach hakan, one mitzvah is gereres mitzvah. If you look in the Medrash Tanchuma, he elaborates a little more and says the other way too, right? It says that if a person will go out to war and desire your fast tayar, the end will be that child from that relationship will be a ben seira meirer, and from there also the other bad things will come out from there. And it says that then you'll have you'll end up with hating the wife and divorcing her, because avera gereres avera. Since you started with fast tayar, you ended up with a ben seira meirer, and from there you ended up with other problems. So it goes hand in hand, says the Medrash Tanchuma. It's all one inyan. Rashi only mentions the part of mitzvah gereres mitzvah, but the Medrash Tanchuma puts it all together. So if you look in the Sefer V'Zos Li'Yakov from Rav Bornstein, Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha, so he says, what's the pshat mitzvah gereres mitzvah? You can look at it two ways. Either the vart is that when you do a mitzvah, so there's a hashpah that's created, and Memela that creates a hashpah to do the next mitzvah. So too with the Aveira, right? If you have a hashpah from an Aveira, that you could create a hashpah of an environment of Aveira, so Mela cause you to do the next Aveira. Or the pshat is Ken Zayin, Haba l'tayr misaynis. If somebody does a mitzvah, they wants to be, it goes together that he wants to become more tar, more kadosh. Mela, Hashem helps him to do the next thing to make it more kadosh, more tar, and so to the opposite way, right? If a person does an aveira, haba l'tamei, so it's going to be the same way. It's going to cause that hashpah of tumah that it's misaynis to do the next aveira. So you can look at it two ways. But if you look in the Maral says a different pshat. The Maral says, what's the Indian of mitzvah gereres mitzvah? The Indian's like this. He says, when the pasuk says kiner mitzvah v'Torah or, so the pshat is that it's not the vort that even though we do one mitzvah at a time, one mitzvah, another mitzvah, but the etzem, the tayyig mitzvahs is what sums up, and that's the sum of parts of one Torah. It's not pshat. There's one mitzvah, one Torah. Second mitzvah, second Torah. All the tayyig mitzvahs, even though you do them one at a time, it all creates at the one or achas. It's one or. It's one Torah. The mela, that's the word mitzvah gereres mitzvah. It's not the pshat that each one is on its own, because the Torah is one entity and one chefza, says the Maral. Be'etzem, all the mitzvahs are interconnected to each other. It's not just separate things, even though of course when you do one you're not doing the other. But etzem, the shirish of tayyig mitzvahs, it's all interconnected in the ruchnitza sense, and it's all one or. So Mela, that's the inyan of mitzvah gereres mitzvah. Since you started one mitzvah, it's very push, says Maral, why you're going to do the next one, because it's not a separate entity. It's all one inyan of taryag mitzvahs of one Torah. That's in essence one thing. Memela, that's why it causes you to do the next one, because really the second one is really the first part of the first one, just that you started with the first one, that was that schola of the first chelik of the whole thing. Memela, just like when you're putting together a house, right? You start with the yisoid, but of course the end result is that you want a complete house. It's not the yisoid, and then there's a frame, and then there's doors. Once it's done, it's all one interrelated and interconnected, one structure. Same thing over here, and a human being is the same way, right? He may have arms, he may have a head, he may have feet, he may have lungs, and so on and so forth. It's all one guf. It's not called gufim. It's one guf made up of many parts, but creates a central guf. The Mela, same thing over here, says the Maral. It's all one Torah with Taryag mitzvahs, but they're all be'etzim connected one to the other. So wherever you start, you're really just starting to get to the next one. Mela mitzvah is mitzvah. Unfortunately, when it comes to Averis, it could be the same thing, right? You could say the same thing. But if you look in the Goin, right? Because we know that this inyan of mitzvah, gereris mitzvah, and Averis is really a Mishnah in Avos Dalid, in Parak Dalid Mishnah Beis. If you look in the Goin, so the Goin brings down two pshatim. First, he brings down that what's the pshat of mitzvah gereris mitzvah? He says that it's a din. He brings down from Rabbi Yisrael Zechet Tzaddik Levracha that it's a teva, right? When a person does something good, a mitzvah, so it creates a teva. Now, something that he enjoyed it. It made a geshmak. He did a geshmak ezachtim. The mitzvah was geshmak. Made it a normal thing. Now he wants to do the next mitzvah. And so to the other way, if a person does an aveira, create a geshmak for him that aveira was geshmak. Maybe it's a teva now that he wants to do another aveira. But he goes into that's one mahalach. But he says Tifer. He brings in Mishlei. You see that talks about over there in Mishlei in Aleph Chav Gimel that the Litzonim and the people who talk Dvar B'Teilim, that's a major taiva. In fact, the going, why does a person want to do such a thing? There's no physical hano that you get when you do these things. So why is it such a taiva for people? So he says unbelievable. He says when a person does a mitzvah, it creates a ruach b'morah. It creates a ruchniistika zach that schleps now a person that she should want to do more things. Now it's a mitzias of a ruach memorim that was created in Shemayim now that says that if you did a mitzvah, so now that created a ruach that it's going to want you to do another mitzvah because that ruach is causing now that it can't be satiated. It's like an appetite. It created a ruchnistika appetite that now I need to do another mitzvah. Just like when some person eats and he's hungry, right? He has an appetite. He doesn't just take one bite usually. That one bite, if it tastes good to him, he wants the second bite. Same thing over here. Creates a ruach memorim. And Mela, when he does a mitzvah, the ruach memorim created an appetite now to do another mitzvah. So to the other way, if a person does an aveira, create a ruach tumba memorim that gives him an appetite to do another. It's a ruach memorim. It's not just something. It's a ruchnistika zachit. Tumah is also the other way could create such a type. He says, so what's the biggest mitzvah? He says, the biggest mitzvah is Torah. Man, when a person learns Torah, that created the highest ruach memorim now that he wants to learn more Torah and more Torah. Oh, so now we understand very well why these people so interested in doing Dvar B'Teilim, talking Dvar B'Teilim and Litzonis, because that's Mamash Hepech HaTorah. When a person talks Litzonis, when a person talks Dvar B'Teilim, he's Mamash being Mahapik all his Torah into nothing. And that's creating the greatest Ruach Memorim of Tumah. So that's why these people are so interested in this. They're not getting a physical hano, but since it's mamish mahapech Torah, it's the mamish the biggest ruach memorim of tumah because it's hapech Torah, it's Dvar B'Teilim and litzanis. So that's why they're so interested in it, even though there's no physical hano. So that's the word mitzvah gereris mitzvah, says the Goin. There's a creation memorim of this appetite. So if you do a small mitzvah, it's going to create a hashpah lamaila of a ruach that you want to do another mitzvah. It's going to keep going and it's going to lead to bigger ruach is going to build up to a tremendous ruach memorim. But kolshkein, if you're learning Torah, it's already there that the biggest ruach memorim, and you're going to want to mamish learn more Torah. And the opposite way, like we said, it's going to cause chas v'shalom if you talk about the greatest ruach memorim of tumah that you're going to want to do more and more, and that is not a good thing. So therefore, that's the pshat. The goin, he says two pshatim, like we said, either it's a teva dikazach that will have a geschmack, so you want to do more, or it's a ruach memorim. It's not just a teva; it's creation above in Shemaim of a ruach that wants you to do more. Hopefully, only in a good way, a good in Shabbos.